Do you ever feel like you've been living a life not entirely your own? Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the version of yourself that feels most like you. Not the person your family expects, not the polished mask you show at work or online, but the raw, unfiltered self that surfaces in quiet moments. It isn't easy to find that version, is it? Sometimes it takes years, even decades, to truly understand who we are and what we want. As Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Well, what does it actually mean to find yourself? And why do so many of us feel like we're drifting until that moment of clarity? Jung called this process individuation, the lifelong work of integrating all of the hidden parts of ourselves into a whole, authentic self. How do we begin that journey? And what can today's psychology teach us about it? Let's dive deeper. The mask we wear. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, "I don't even know who I am anymore," you're not alone. Jung believed that much of our life is spent playing roles: the obedient child, the dependable friend, the perfect partner. Those roles form what he called the persona, the mask we wear to navigate society. Research in developmental psychology backs this up. A 2016 study in the Journal of Personality found that identity exploration tends to peak in early adulthood, as we try to balance external expectations with internal desires. While our persona helps us fit in, it is not the whole of who we are. Jung believed that when we mistake this mask for our true self, it can lead to feelings of anxiety, dissatisfaction, burnout, and even depression. The shadow and the awakening. Of course, finding yourself isn't all light and clarity. Jung insisted it almost means facing the parts of ourselves we'd rather deny. The shadow. The shadow is everything we push into the basement of our psyche: envy, anger, selfishness, fear. But repressing the shadow doesn't make it disappear. It leaks out and shows up in the way we judge others, what we get mad at, unhealthy patterns we can't seem to break. Therapists like to put it this way: your perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is an awareness of me. In other words, the qualities we notice and often dislike in others usually point back to something unacknowledged within ourselves. Think about the friend who cannot stand arrogance, only to realize they secretly crave recognition, or the person who mocks others for being too emotional when they themselves struggle to express their own feelings. That's the shadow work. And it isn't just Jung's theory. Modern research backs this up. A 2021 meta-analysis in Frontiers in Psychology found that suppressing emotions is strongly linked to higher stress and lower well-being. In other words, burying what we don't want to face doesn't make it disappear. It only weighs us down more. Honestly, we see this all the time in our own community. It's why we created quizzes like "Are you bottling up your emotions?" as a free, interactive, and easy way to help you reflect, to trace your emotions back to their source. And if you're considering therapy, check out our partner BetterHelp at the link in the description box. It supports you and helps us keep creating content. Now back to the video. Jung didn't just see the shadow as bad. He saw it as an untapped source of honesty and energy. When we confront it, we gain self-awareness. When we integrate it, we grow. He famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So what part of yourself do you keep running from? And what might happen if, instead of rejecting it, you listen to it and let it teach you something? Individuation and the journey towards wholeness. Finding yourself, what Jung called individuation, isn't about becoming someone new or turning yourself into the most perfect version of you. Rather, it's all about balance and being able to integrate all the different aspects of your life: the persona, the shadow, your desires, your values, your contradictions. This process often happens during major life transitions: a career change, a breakup, or even a health scare that forces us to rethink everything. In a longitudinal study from the Journal of Positive Psychology, researchers observed that people who engaged in deep self-reflection during life transitions reported greater life satisfaction and resilience. In other words, the moment you start asking, what do I actually want? What feels true to me? Is often the moment your life begins to feel like your own. Why we resist finding ourselves. If all this sounds liberating, why don't more of us embrace it? Jung would say it's because the path to authenticity requires courage. To find yourself, you may have to admit that the life you've built, your career, your relationships, your identity, doesn't entirely fit. You may need to have hard conversations. You may need to let go of old dreams or disappoint people who thought they knew you. And yet, what is the alternative? To keep living out of sync with your own soul? To spend decades playing a role only to wake up at the end with regret? The pain of ignoring yourself is greater than the pain of facing yourself. Everyday gateways to self-discovery. So if you're wondering how to start this journey of self-discovery, here are some evidence-backed steps you can take. Reflect with curiosity, not judgment. Journal without censoring yourself and noticing what themes emerge. This can help you notice recurring patterns in your thoughts and feelings. Spend time with yourself. A 2019 study from the University of Rochester found that intentional alone time fosters greater self-awareness and emotional clarity. Seek feedback from safe people. Sometimes others see strengths in us that we overlook. And embrace therapy or coaching. Therapeutic approaches like depth psychology or internal family systems can help you explore your inner world safely. At its core, Jung's philosophy speaks to an internal ache, the longing to feel whole, to stop living as scattered fragments shaped by expectations and roles, and instead become our most authentic selves. Because life doesn't truly begin until you dare to live as you truly are. So, what about you? Are there parts of yourself you've been afraid to explore? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if this video resonated with you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Thanks for watching.